Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
Spooky stories from Appalachia have blown up over the years, and lucky for us, there is no shortage of first-hand tales from people who live in the region online. So for today, I scoured Reddit for some of the strangest and scariest paranormal stories set in Appalachia. The stories range in location and the kind of activity witnessed, but they are all haunting in their own right. From suspected cryptids and mimics and crawlers to completely unexplainable experiences while camping in the woods, you're in for a wild and very strange time.
Okay, I'm excited. I love Reddit stories. I feel like
Me too.
Reddit is just the place for these stories.
When I am laying down late at night, that's where I usually go. Like if I'm playing on my phone, I
yeah.
usually go to Reddit.
Yeah. I'm not on Reddit right now. I'm on a game that I am highly addicted to.
Oh yeah, you've told me about this.
I put in an ungodly amount of hours on it yesterday.
That's scary.
My brain needs to be studied for my addiction to this game.
They really are addicting.
But maybe I should be scrolling Reddit instead. I don't know which one's worse.
I don't know. Depends on the story you find, because sometimes Reddit is a dumpster fire, but still entertaining. And that's where we're going to be today. So grab your tea, grab your snacks, whatever you need. Our tea today is one I found online. It's from this guy called Mintea Bong Water. I think his brand is Mint Tea.
Mm-hmm.
It's chocolate strawberry. It was a Valentine's Day one.
Yeah.
We just didn't get it here in time. So I'm very excited to try it.
Yeah, it's really cute packaging. I'm actually very excited. Is it a small brand you found?
A small business. He just makes it. He loves tea. He has content where he puts together new flavors and stuff.
Cute. All right. Well, I'm going to have to watch it and y'all should go see it too.
Yes.
Let's go. I don't know if the pod is changing me or if this is just really good.
It's really good.
It is good. And this is not sponsored or anything. We don't know this guy, but look how cute.
I literally was scrolling through one of the socials and I saw him and I was like, ooh, interested. And then I went to his store and picked what I thought was good.
Yeah, it's adorable. So y'all go check it out. This tea, it's really good because normally anytime we have chocolate, I'm like, I'm not going to like it for the tea.
It tastes fresh. It doesn't taste like artificial
Rich
flavor.
chocolate.
Kind of chocolate. Yeah. Or strawberry.
No, I like it.
Tastes good. So the first one is from r/cryptids, but the username, Natalie told me I should say it on here. It's Fireball in my ass.
Shout out Fireball.
So that's one thing I do like about Reddit.
Wait, the way I just said that, is it Fireball like the alcohol or like a fireball? Because at first
I assumed a fireball, like a ball of flames.
I did too until I said shout out Fireball.
That makes it worse.
That is, yeah.
In my opinion.
That's hilarious.
But I love Reddit usernames. They always crack me up. Mine's randomly generated because I get stressed out when I have to make usernames and it I want to be funny and punny and cool and then I'm just
it never feels good enough.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's gold.
It's hilarious. But it's titled, I had a terrifying encounter in the Appalachian Mountains and I'm looking for answers. Let me start by saying I have lived in the Appalachian Mountains all my life and have experienced a lot of strange things. My family was Irish and settled in West Virginia, but I currently live in the North Carolina portion of these wonderful mountains. That being said, I have learned a lot about what really lurks in these dark woods, but this was like nothing I had ever experienced before. It all began with my golden retriever, Ozzy, growling like I had never heard before. He literally never growls, so that had me already uncomfortable, but this growl was bone-chilling. It was like he was getting ready to have a fight for his life or something. I took both him and my other dog out at around 11 p.m., and he would not leave my side. I noticed that my workshop door was open, so I walked down to close and lock it up. The entire time, he was glued to me. Ozzy also kept trying to get in between my legs, still growling, and all of his hair sticking straight up like a feral animal. The second I closed the door, all hell breaks loose in the woods. It sounded like 50 full-grown men had broken out into a full sprint, tearing through the woods. Trees were shaking and branches were falling. In my life, I have never been that scared. We got back in the house before I shit my pants. And I got my pistol/mag light to figure out what was out there. When the dog and I got back outside, we were surrounded by what sounded like people mumbling. It was everywhere. I shined the light all over the woods and couldn't see anything, but the sound was coming from all around. It sounded as if you got a full gym of people to baby mumble. You could
Oh my
almost make out
God.
words. That's why I don't think it was an animal. I almost immediately felt sick, like I was having a mix between a panic attack and the full swing of the flu. Back inside the house, it sounded like people were walking around all night. The windows were creaking, and you could clearly hear the sounds of shoes on gravel. The mumbling never stopped. Every time I got up to check the house, my feet would touch the floor, and it would get dead silent. You couldn't hear birds, crickets, frogs, or anything. I was terrified and didn't sleep a wink. The air felt thick and evil all night. That's the only way I could explain the feeling. Imagine a soaking wet quilt being tossed over you. That's how I felt.
Oh my gosh.
I'm looking for any answers as to what this could be. This wasn't like the normal spooky stories my grandma and great uncles used to tell me.
Okay, that's the end?
Yes, and I have a few comments,
Okay.
but I'd like to hear your thoughts first.
Why did they go back outside?
don't know.
Like
I
to
guess
check.
To check to see what was happening.
If you have both your dogs in, you're in, barricade the doors. That's
Probably leave it,
crazy.
yeah.
But I guess people that are from there and have lived there their whole lives, they're like, let's go
Gotta
check it out.
Check on their property, I guess.
That's so crazy to me. Also, it was weird that they didn't mention that the other dog was reacting, just Ozzy.
Yeah, just that one.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Maybe this one, Ozzy, is more protective. Or older.
That's interesting. What did the comments say?
So, one of the first comments said, "This sounds similar to stories I hear on Sasquatch Chronicles. The human sounding words, the sound of walking around at night, the loud crashing through the woods, dead silence, and your dog's extreme fear all lend to those stories." And then another one underneath that. "The feeling of being sick, paranoid, and worried is a classic example of infrasound. Your body was probably being blasted with so much low frequency sound that you had a reaction to it. Also explains why your dog was so antsy."
That is something that is so interesting to me, and I would
Sound.
love to know more about infrasound or whatever. I've heard that
Yeah.
before, and I've read very little about it. I would love to get like a class on that.
Yeah, crash course on
Yes.
infrasound and how it affects your body.
Yes, because I love that, like the use of that in like horror films.
Okay.
Specifically.
I agree. So could it be just that these beings, Sasquatch possibly, were voicing that, like, their voice was so deep and there were so many of them that it caused this reaction, or was it something else?
You're asking the wrong person. I have no idea.
And then another person commented, "It sounds like you might be dealing with an upset forest spirit." I know most people
Ooh.
are suggesting this thing is more physical, but from how you describe it, it sounds more metaphysical, which would also explain why it left you alone. Forests, mountains, rivers, all places like this have spirits that call it home. Places with more powerful spirits are considered sacred. Usually, these spirits are happy guardians of these places, meant to protect them, but as you can imagine with how the earth is treated, sometimes these spirits become angered and restless. What you described matches up with what happens with these spirits when they're going on a rampage. You did everything right with this. When a spirit is angered, you should hide, stay quiet, and hope it decides you aren't a problem. The fact that your girlfriend cleanses your house, which they said this the other day, after that, that their girlfriend regularly cleanses their home,
Cool.
would also explain why it left you alone. The energy around the spirit affects how it acts. So if the area is full of clean energy, the spirit is more likely to leave and go somewhere else. Who knows, though? Without being there myself, it's kind of hard to tell for sure. Hope it helps.
I like that one. I'm more inclined to believe that because
Yeah.
I'm more of like the
Over
wind
Bigfoot?
in the trees. Huh?
Over Bigfoot?
Yes.
Interesting.
Because when I think Bigfoot, especially after doing our episode, it's like there's like one, and they're more of like a peaceful kind. They're not like out to get you. They mostly don't want to be spotted. You know?
It didn't sound like they were out to get them. It just sounded like they were walking around all night. And when they stepped down, it got quiet, you know?
That's true.
But I mean, I don't know. Who am I? I'm not trying to convince you of Bigfoot, of course.
That's true. But I don't know. That it doesn't give like a Bigfoot type of story to me.
Yeah. I like the forest spirit suggestion as
Very
well.
fun, Fern Gully.
Very much. And I resonate
We
with
should
that so
watch
much.
that on Patreon Live.
We're just
As
like
a
the next
good movie.
10 lives are just animated movies.
Just happy movie because the last one was horrifying and disturbing.
Well, I have one more answer. It's also horrifying and disturbing.
Oh, good.
You've not heard of feral people? Park rangers have countless
No.
stories of feral people cases, deranged, odd, and ugly-looking people who speak in a mumbling language to each other and have lived in the mountains for generations, barely seeing other people.
I have mixed feelings on this because when we say feral people, like what truly are we actually talking about?
Like, are we saying people who just are antisocial and just don't come down and they stay up in the mountains by themselves? Or are we talking like the descent?
Yeah. Like, is it not really human?
Like,
know what I mean?
they are some variation of human.
Yes.
Long ago.
Or is it something darker, but it's humans and people, and like there's abuse and things going on, and I hate to take it there, but it's like an inbred community type of thing. Because I've seen some people call like certain people that live in mountains like feral people, and they're like, no, like what the heck? I don't know. It's a controversial topic.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I don't know. So I have mixed emotions when it comes to the
So, like,
term like feral people.
Is it abuse, is what you're saying? Is it like an abusive situation, like a family who's keeping their children and generations
like
sequestered?
Barbarian?
Or like The Village?
Like Barbarian, the movie we just watched. Like that type of vibe, but there's a lot of them.
That's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. When I think the term feral people, I think it's like the
descent. They're
descent,
not really
like they
people.
live in caves.
Yeah.
And they, like, there's some variation of person.
The human species, but
from
it's like
hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago even.
That's more terrible. Ooh, actually no.
But keep this
Both
in
equally
mind.
horrifying.
Keep this in mind for you later.
No.
Just put a little pin.
Oh, okay.
Because we'll have more to discuss on this.
No.
Here's another short one. Another possible Bigfoot from r/Ask Reddit. I was bow hunting in a tree stand. I had been there for a while before dawn. A group of deer walk into my line of sight, and while I was lining up my shot, one of them gets blasted in the side of the head with a fist-sized rock. I then started to hear whistling from a few different directions, communicating with each other, and then a large, hairy creature started moving towards it, grabs it with one hand, and walks off.
Oh my god.
Like they're out there hunting.
Yeah. I mean, hey, they weren't after the people.
And in this r/Ask Reddit, they were asking questions like any strange things you've seen in Appalachia.
Mm-hmm.
Very creepy, though. That'd be horrifying to see.
Yeah, but it's also like, in hindsight, it's like, oh, they weren't after me. We were both just hunting the same thing.
Yes, but it's another predator.
But they're not after you. Y'all are both after the same prey.
They don't know you're there.
But if they do,
they could be after you.
No.
Or at least getting you out of the way.
I don't know why I'm like the Bigfoot apologist right now.
I really
don't know what's
are.
going on.
That's fine.
I don't know Bigfoot personally.
You can,
I don't know.
Maybe
who
you
they
met
are.
them in another life. This next one is from r/Backwoods Creepy. I live in the heart of Appalachia, and this is easily the most terrifying story of one of my experiences. This story may be short, or it may be drawn out. I'm recounting these events as I type it, as it was honestly one of the most horrifying things I've ever experienced, and it brings me genuine stress to think about. This happened maybe 2 to 3 years ago. I live in southern West Virginia, and have for my entire life. The woods and mountains surround every direction you look, and nighttime is a darkness that you can never dream of unless experienced. I was with a friend, I'll call him Mark. Mark was at my house one evening, doing the usual things, watching UFC, playing Xbox, etc. It was extremely late when we finally got bored and decided to go for a walk on a nearby trail to smoke. This is not a particularly long trail, but it is very dense in the woods that surround it, and it is easy to get freaked out when thinking of your surroundings. We finally get to about halfway into the trail, about 30 minutes in, where we stop, start to smoke, and stand on the trail to chill and talk. The forest is very alive tonight. There are always noises in the woods, but the amount of animal activity for the time, at this point it was probably past 1 a.m., this was strange and kind of eerie, but not alerting as any sort of predatory animal in the area may cause a disturbance. We finish smoking and continue our walk when almost immediately the forest falls dead quiet. And as soon as the forest goes quiet, there's a voice. It almost sounded like a mocking humanoid voice, shaky and uncertain, almost like an old children's toy, like the ones with the crackly speakers and robotic voices, if you know what I mean. This immediately sets us off. We bolt directly down the opposite length of the trail, but the sound does not gain distance. It doesn't get closer per se, but no matter how far we run down the trail, this eerie voice remains the same volume, going over and over with no quieting or stopping. At this point, I am convinced that we are in genuine danger, something I have felt very few times. Finally, after sprinting for who knows how long, we exit the trail, gasping for breath and almost at the verge of tears of how frightening this was. We begin to exit the trail, and about 5 minutes from the exit, there is a bone-shaking, heart-stopping, murderous scream from directly behind us. I know what a mountain lion sounds like. This was not an animal. This was not someone playing or watching a movie. This scream sent birds flying from nests and made my heart drop into my stomach. It was the most genuinely depraved and violent scream that I have ever heard. This is a true story that I have only told to maybe 3 people, all of whom seem to brush it off as false. I've never been a person to push for the existence of the paranormal or spiritual, but I genuinely believe I encountered something inhuman in those woods. Edit to say, I know I will receive questions such as what the voice was possibly saying or to explain the area and what happened after. I genuinely cannot remember what the voice was saying, if anything intelligible. I don't know if I could understand it then, and I certainly can't recall understanding it after several years of blocking it out of my memory. All that I recall is that it was a fluctuating voice and pitch, shaking, almost just joining sounds together. After running from the scream at the end of the trail, we ran to the car, which was only about 5 more minutes from the trail, so we got there relatively fast, sprinting.
Only 5 minutes after a scream? Only 5 minutes?
Yeah, that's like the longest 5 minutes of my life.
Way too long of a run. I was going to ask about like, oh, did they say if they could tell what it said and stuff?
no.
So, dang, that was like my first question.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think it matters what it was saying.
No, not really. I was just curious.
Because it was just, like they said, putting sounds together. It was trying to sound human.
I was going to say like mimicking human speech patterns. Ugh, the scream. Was it screaming because it's like wanting you to turn back around, like come back? No, like I'm not done.
Help whoever's there, or like
help
out of frustration, you mean?
Frustration, like that they're leaving.
My thought was it was mimicking sounds it's heard.
Screams?
Yeah.
That's scary. That's scarier, because why are people out there screaming like that?
And why did they know what the screams sound like?
Also, though, I hope it wasn't actually someone screaming. Anytime that happens, I would always second, like, actually, no, that'd be my first thought. I would turn around.
Would you?
And be like, do you need help?
No.
I'll call the police from the car.
Yeah.
Stay there.
Call the police from the car.
Because
even if someone is in danger, if they're being attacked by somebody else, like
I'm not going to be able to help.
Yeah.
Physically.
I mean, I guess if it's like 2 big dudes, like maybe they could help fight off something. But
and you?
2 little people? No.
Calling the cops immediately.
I think we'll find somebody else to help. But yeah, that is sad. I think I would think about it for the rest of my life. Like,
oh yeah,
what if that was a person and I just left them behind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But knowing that it sounded inhuman, like it was trying too hard, almost.
I would just convince myself it was an animal.
Yeah, maybe. And after reading some of these stories, I went back and I listened to several different like cats, like bobcats and mountain lions and stuff, screaming. And I mean, they sound like if you're in the middle of the woods and you're not expecting it, it would definitely sound like a woman screaming.
Mountain lions, cougars, it 100% sounds like it. Even if I know and I'm watching a video of one doing it, it sounds like a lady to me.
Some of them, sometimes like the few videos I was watching, you can tell it's got like this growly kind of like cat sound.
I don't know, man. The one that we heard
right outside our window.
Uh-huh.
But that was like a moment where we weren't expecting, and it was the middle of the night, and we were just unsuspecting, never heard anything like that before.
That is really chilling to think about, though, that we heard it so close to your window.
I know. It was very close. It was like, it had to have been near our front yard.
Yeah. Oh.
Sick. All right. Our next one comes from r/cryptids, Appalachia Horrors. Because I've lived in Appalachia, specifically Pennsylvania, my entire life, I've seen and heard some pretty messed up stuff. For instance, when I was 15, me and my sister decided it was a good idea to hike the trail and camp the night, then hike back out the next morning. It was right after sundown, maybe 8 o'clock, when we decided to go to sleep for the night, when suddenly I had to pee like crazy. So I told my sister, took a flashlight, and went deeper into the woods. When I decided I was far enough away from where our tents were, I started to do my business. And for some reason, this entire time I had such a horrible gut feeling. Once I finished and started to walk back, of course, my flashlight batteries died.
Oh no.
So there I was, in the woods, at night, with no source of light. I quickened my pace and tried to get back to camp when I heard my sister's voice. But it didn't sound like her. So I called out her name, and there was no response. Then I felt as though someone, or something, was breathing down my back, followed by a piercing scream. It was so loud that my ears were ringing. That's when I realized that we needed to get out of those woods. I ran back to camp as fast as I could to wake my sister up and tell her we needed to leave. We left that night. I believe we actually left our tent there. Still to this day, I have no idea what that was. Sometimes I'll even hear that noise in my dreams.
Oh my gosh. Okay. First thought though, when you think about camping or going on a boat or anything, you never think like, oh, if this light goes out, there's no light.
Total darkness. Yeah.
It is so dark, and that is so frightening to me.
You ever see like images of cruise ships when their lights go out?
Yes. I literally think I would die on the spot. I'm not even joking.
Imagine how people who were sailing the open ocean, like the first people going across the Atlantic to the Americas, how dark and long. They didn't even know where they were going.
That is so horrifying.
They don't have batteries, you know?
So I think about like also people that get lost at sea and they're just floating in the open ocean
in the darkness.
And then the sun goes down. Oh, like that literally makes my like body feel like it needs to explode. That is so scary to me.
That made my kidneys hurt.
Yeah, like
I'm unwell.
Your spleen,
like my scapula.
But that is so horrifying. Note to self, if we ever are convinced, if someone ever pays me $1 billion to go camping, because that's what it would take, I am taking multiple backup lights.
Yeah, they have those lights that you can like crank. You know what I mean? So they don't require batteries.
I know I've said it before, but I want one of those flashlights that is like a stadium light.
Yeah. Or an oil lamp.
I love Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not?
There was a comment. I just like the idea of carrying a lantern out in the woods. Not me, somebody else.
I was going to say,
There was a comment under this that I found interesting. I believe what you may have heard that night was a crawler. Crawlers are mimics from the forest who can mimic human voices. They also scream, which is one of the worst, if not the worst, sounds I've ever heard. They also have the ability to render themselves invisible, at which time they could be standing right next to you, and you would never know it. I recommend not going out there at night, as this is when they are most active. Which, I've had crawlers on my list for so long. You remember when we first had that listener story? Maybe last year before? It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've heard the term crawler.
I've been waiting for a while to find the right time, and then I actually had it in our list in like February or January, and then I moved it because I thought about doing Appalachia thing, and I was like, okay, we'll put it in Appalachia. So we are talking about crawlers this month, and I'm very scared.
Horrible. I don't want to, but okay.
That's scared.
Sick. That is sick. So is that what the first story was? A crawler?
Maybe.
Sounds like a human, and then it screams, or with the second story, or whenever.
The last screaming person talking thing?
Ugh.
It's possible.
What do they look like?
I don't
Are there
know
drawings?
Anything about a crawler yet.
Okay.
I have not done any research except for that one story that was told to us.
Okay, so
there's like a whole subreddit.
We'll get back to you on crawlers because I'm intrigued.
My thought is that they are some kind of like Fleshgate type mimicky thing.
Well, yeah,
but I don't know. Leave your send us your crawler stories. If you have a crawler story, go ahead and email us because I'd like to use it.
Yuck.
The next one comes from r/Paranormal Appalachia. This just happened, and I have no idea what it was. I'm not sure how to start this. It is currently 3:15 a.m. This happened about 5 minutes ago. My boyfriend lives in a suburban neighborhood, and there's this old church in his neighborhood we park at sometimes to look at the stars. Tonight, we were hearing weird noises, starting around 2:55, 3 a.m., light bangs, dragging sounds. We heard a loud, dragging noise, then humming, loud humming. Not a flat hum, a song. I don't recognize the song, but it sounds similar to a slow hymn or a nursery rhyme, maybe. It was so loud that there's no way possible it could be a person. We looked around for someone, but the street was empty. If it were just me that heard it, I would think I was going insane, but he heard it too.
Oh no.
I have seen and heard a lot of weird stuff, but that was something I've never heard before, especially not in the suburbs. We drove around the neighborhood to get away from it, and the sound didn't follow. It was specifically in that area. We stopped at a stop sign after making a circle about 15 to 20 feet away from where we were parked, but we didn't hear anything at all. Does anyone have any idea what it could possibly be? I've tried Google, can't find anything similar. We live in small town Appalachia. This story freaked me out because, like, one, haunted, but two, like, even in the suburbs of Appalachia, you can't get away, you know?
Well, I would not imagine that anywhere in that close vicinity is safe. I personally would not go there.
Just nowhere?
No, I know you would.
So all of West Virginia is out for you.
Yes, only for the Mothman Festival, and then I will never step foot back ever again.
We'll see.
I'm serious. I'm so freaked out. Because if we do end up going somewhere at night, like as soon as there is like a hint of darkness, I am inside barricaded.
I have plans for you.
No. That is so. I feel like I would be so scared and have so much like energy about me, like negative nervous energy. I would make something happen.
Something would come to you.
Yes, that is so scary.
Love and light, just deep breaths.
No.
I have plans.
Avoidance is my plan.
See. They did have one more comment. The dragging sounded like it was coming from the front of the car, but the front of the car was about a foot from the building. I think when you said someone with a bad leg walking best describes it. More of a shuffling. The parking lot's paved. It sounded like it was staying in place. The humming started out from behind the car, then sounded like it was inside with us.
Oh.
Isn't that so scary?
Oh. And that's why I love a good 2-seater car. No back seat. It's you and the passenger. Yeah. That's it. Oh, God.
Freaky. This next one is also from r/Paranormal Appalachia. I don't know exactly what I experienced, but it was around 1999 on the front porch at night. The house is set back in the woods and there aren't any nearby neighbors. I start hearing what sounds like a young girl just past the edge of the tree line, saying something like, "Hey, Nana." It continued many times, moving along the tree line with no sound in the dried leaves. With every, "Hey, Nana," there would be this loud baying in the distance of a very large dog. It freaked me out and I dashed inside. Now that strangeness ended there for the evening, but fast forward a few weeks and I'm out there again. It's dark out and I decided it would be funny to freak my friend out with a "Hey Nana" story, and I mimic what I heard from before. Do not mimic stuff you hear in the woods in Appalachia. As soon as I did, something snarled from the tree line. I nearly crapped myself and we ran back inside. If this sounds familiar to anyone else, I'd love to hear about it.
Did anybody have an explanation?
No, not really.
Oh, yuck. Oh, yuck. Is the dog thing the problem, or does the entity possess a dog? Or like not possess, but like do they own a dog?
My thought was the dog was hearing it too from a distance. Like maybe from a distant neighbor. They were also hearing it and it was freaking them out.
And so then this person said it again, so the dog was like,
"No, stop doing it." Not the dog. Like the thing in the woods.
Yeah, it was
heard it mimic and growled. Start over. I don't think the mimic is a dog.
No, me neither.
Start over. I don't know what you're saying.
No, I'm saying like, does the like the mimic thing that is the one that's saying like, "Hey Nana" or whatever. So what are you like? Is what you're saying that the dog was freaked out because they heard the mimic say "Hey Nana"?
That's why it was baying in the difference in the distance.
Yes, and then whenever the OP person said, "Hey Nana," the dog was like, like scared because
no.
It had heard that before.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
It was a few weeks later and they said, "Hey Nana," and from the same spot in the tree line where they were first hearing that mimic voice thing, it growled at him because it was mimicking it.
Oh, ew.
He was mimicking the mimic.
Ew.
Like it was whatever creature was in the woods heard him.
I don't like that at all. Ew. Ew.
Yeah, sorry, I got all caught up with the dog.
Yeah, the dog kind of threw me off.
Very creepy. I don't like the thought of a little girl's voice out in the woods at night.
Yeah.
That's really scary to me.
It's always unsettling when it's a kid.
Yeah. Northeastern Kentucky had an encounter with a dogman/werewolf type creature back in around 1993 when I was just an 8-year-old child. It was terrifying and life-altering to say the least. Edited to add more info. So this was, I think all 3 of these were on a post that was like, "Tell me your scariest stories in Appalachia." And they said this and people were like, "Hello, can you explain what you mean?" So they said, it was a weekend night. It was just me and my cousin that was 2 years older than me, and my dad just ran to the store really quickly to pick us up some pizza. So he was only gone for like 15 to 20 minutes as the store was just a few miles away. She was 10, so she was old enough for us to be at home alone for a short period, and we were watching Clueless. We were just waiting for my dad to get back. It was literally 5 minutes after he pulled out of the driveway. We hear someone stomping up the steps outside on the porch, coming up the stairs, and we were a little confused because we heard my dad pull away out of the driveway, but thought maybe he forgot something, but it definitely wasn't him. We heard stomping and really heavy steps outside and started hearing scratching and pounding at the front door. There was a window on the right side next to the door, and I pulled the curtain away to look at whoever it was, and that's when I prayed that it was my eyes playing tricks on me. But it was a very large and skinny creature with black fur and long, skinny arms with claws at the fingertips, and it immediately turned to look right at me, like it knew I was standing and staring at it.
No.
Its eyes were a yellowish-green color. I noticed it had pointy wolf or dog-like ears, and it was wearing a black cloak on its body with the hood drawn. I started screaming for my cousin to run to the bathroom, and we both hid underneath the sink until we heard my dad pull back in. It was growling and clawing at the door and pounding very loudly before it just went silent, and a few minutes later my dad finally made it back from the store. We were terrified, and we told my dad what happened, and the next morning he noticed deep scratches in the wooden door. To this day, I still don't know why it happened, as it was such a strange encounter.
Oh, what is it?
Dogman.
Is that what Dogman?
I don't. I have to look it up. I've heard people talk about Dogman before.
I've heard people say Dogman, but I don't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Are we going to cover Dogman eventually?
Maybe one day. I like to space out the cryptidy things.
Yeah.
Because
yeah, I agree.
that would be so scary as like an 8-year-old kid to see this beast banging and clawing at your door. Make eye contact with it.
I need more info on Dogman before I give any thoughts, because right now I'm like, what are we talking about?
What if it's some kind of like cryptid or like werewolves are real kind of thing?
That's what, like, I'm blown away. I was thinking like a bear would be trying to break in.
Yeah, but it
But
was
they
really
saw-
skinny, so it'd have to be like a bear with
and
mange
like
or
pointy
something.
ears and things, so it's not. And I've never seen a bear with greenish yellow eyes either.
Or one that knocked on doors.
No. Well, they like break into places and open doors, so it's
Yeah,
like.
but if it's just
bear.
like banging over and
No.
over again, you know?
No,
I don't know.
no.
The next one. I moved down to Southwest Virginia and lived there for about 9 months this past summer, alone in the mountains, a very rural area. I'm originally from New York and actually befriended another family who I met there that was also from New York. And one of the sons, we'll call him Paul, shared a really eerie story he experienced as a child up in the mountains. He and his cousin Mitchell, about 5 years old at the time, were out walking on trails with Paul's father, Ryan. The way Ryan remembers the story, the two kids were up further ahead and suddenly ran back with complete fear in their eyes. They were walking along the trail when in the woods, they saw what looked like a black, shadowy, human-like figure that was holding a plastic white bag. When Paul was telling me the story, he saw my face waiting for an explanation on the white bag, but he had none. It didn't make sense to him either. This thing noticed that Paul and his cousin Mitchell had spotted it. It turned its neck towards them, and they all made eye contact with one another. It then proceeded to get down on all fours and prance away such as a deer would.
No.
Paul and Mitchell told Ryan of what they saw. He told them to show him where they saw it. They went to the tree, and at the base there was a dead crow, completely drained of blood. I didn't know the family for long, but they seemed to be good, honest people with no reason to lie. They acknowledged that the story sounded absolutely crazy, and that they have no idea what it means. All they could do is tell me what they saw. The bad part is that they told me the story at about 1 a.m. I had stayed late for some drinks and had about 30 minutes of backroad country woods to drive before reaching home. Really had to get myself a pep talk when getting into the car to drive home. I've not had any strange experiences myself, other than hearing some weird things at night, but that's usually when I shut my windows and pretend it didn't happen.
The bag.
The bag. The crow had no blood. It got down on all fours after it was done and ran away.
Did people have an explanation?
I don't remember if they did or not. I didn't save any, so none convincing to me, I guess. But it weirded me out. It was very strange, especially like after I read the Dogman thing.
The prancing away like a deer is what got me.
Like it freaked you out? Or
Yeah. It's scary because like it's reminiscent of that mimic story where he like backflipped away because it's just so like
unnatural and weird.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just feeling uneasy and like exposed.
The entire time I was looking for these, I felt so unsettled.
I need to be like wrapped up in a blanket like from head to toe.
Just
I'm
like a Snuggie.
uncomfortable. Yes.
Well, this next one is from r/West Virginia. The Poca River Monster. I lived in West Virginia as a teenager and was fishing in the backwaters of the Poca River at night. My friend and I had loaded an aluminum john boat into the river and were using a battery-operated trolling motor. We found a little cove that was about 1 to 4 feet deep, depending on the section that was covered with grass and cattails. We were using buzz baits and catching all kinds of smallmouth and largemouth bass. I was done for a bit and was steering the boat while my friend fished, when all of a sudden we saw the cattails begin to part in half, and a large ripple under the water started moving towards the boat. Whatever it was longer than the boat was wide, by at least 4 feet on each side. It began thrashing around and got stuck under the boat. It pulled us to slightly deeper water, spun us around on an 80, and then disappeared. We had no lights, so we couldn't see what it was, but we were soaking wet from the water it thrashed around. We both looked at each other, and I immediately opened the trolling motor to full speed, which was still slow, while he paddled to give us a boost. We got to the dock and loaded the boat as fast as we could. When we told a few people, they just laughed at us and said we saw the Poca River monster. We never really shared the story much after that, but I will never forget that night. I have fished the river a lot since then, but never went back to that same cove.
Is this a thing?
I never would either.
A known thing?
I don't know. I don't live there.
The Poca River monster?
It's possible.
Dude, rivers and lakes and creeks and things like that.
Like monsters living down under there.
That really freaks me out because they're not very deep.
Mm-hmm.
Most rivers, you know?
Some of them, yeah.
Like, it's not ocean level.
Yeah.
So they're closer than they are to you potentially in the ocean at times. They're right there.
Yeah.
And they can just come up on the banks and get you.
Much bigger it was than the boat, too, really scared me for them. And I'm not even there.
No, that's... Mm-mm.
All right. You remember that pin?
No.
The pin I told you to stick in?
About screaming?
About people, possibly?
Oh, no. Are we talking? Oh, God.
You can pull that one back out because I've got a couple of stories here.
Oh, let me adjust to where I feel more safe. Hold on.
Okay.
I gotta get wrapped up in this blanket more. I'm feeling far too exposed this episode.
I'm a little scared. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't like the feeling of feeling like, what did I just say?
The feeling of feeling.
I don't like feeling confused and just, what could it be? What is it? There's no explanation for these, and so I'm just kind of
unsettled and freaked.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I don't know. It's like very...
I think that's what I like about Appalachia. Like stories from Appalachia, because I feel unsettled. Every time I hear a story, it's like something's not right in my bones, you know? Like it gets me.
With demons and such and things that we've talked about around the paranormal, where there is, I mean, as far as we know, it could all be fake, but there's an explanation to an extent. It makes sense. There's some kind of resolution. There's something. All of this is just like, what could it be?
Like when you mix nature in with it, and nature's so mysterious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I agree. You know,
not well.
I did read a lot, and I mean a lot, of people on Reddit saying, none of this is real. I've lived here my whole life, and I've never had any weird experience. None of my friends have either, you know.
Yeah. And I know things get sensationalized, but then you get people that are like, yeah, my family's lived here for 100 years, and we don't do these things because those are the rules.
And we've got, like, for generations.
Yeah.
Telling these same stories. So, I don't know. That also freaks me out a little.
Yeah.
I actually have had some spooky experiences camping in West Virginia. I was driving to Shenandoah, but wanted to break up the drive, so I stopped to camp in Canaan Valley. I have a truck bed camper with a cot, so I was sleeping in that. Because I wasn't in a tent, I was in a spot that was much closer to the road than I would normally camp. And during the night, I woke up to voices walking past my truck. I could hear 2 men talking, and then 2 women speaking to a child. They were using hushed tones and keeping their voices low as if they were trying not to wake me. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but could hear them walking past. I opened my eyes and saw what looked like the orange light of dawn glowing in the fog. I took the voices to be fellow campers that were walking down the road to go hiking, but something seemed off. After this group passed, another group came right behind them, and then another, all using the same hushed tones. Eventually, it sounded like some 15 to 20 people had filed past. I also slowly realized that there weren't any trails down that road. It just led deeper into the woods until it came into the backside of a state park some 10 or so miles later. Realizing something weird was going on, I opened my eyes again and saw that the dawn light in the fog was actually flickering and moving past, like people carrying torches or lanterns. This startled me, and I grabbed my phone to see that it was only a little past 3 a.m. This startled me more, and I sat up, shaking the truck. When I did this, all of the voices outside hushed up immediately. They shushed each other and then went silent. The light remained for a few more seconds before slowly fading out as I was trying to decide if I should investigate. I did not go back to sleep, and I left as soon as the sun actually rose.
So what do you think?
Strange?
Yeah.
People who live in the woods? I don't know. That's why I said put a pin in the feral people thing.
Huh.
Because there's another story. So, like, this one's like a one-off, and they were in, like, that one was in r/West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
This one is in r/camping and hiking, and they're two different users. The first user was Admiral Moonshine, and this next one they were deleted. So two different people having a very similar situation. And so, do you want to hear it, or do you want to give your thoughts first?
I don't know, because I do believe that, I mean, because we know that there are people and tribes in different areas that we have never come in contact with, like North Sentinel Island or however you say it.
But
know what
not
I'm
in
talking about?
America.
That we know of.
I guess, but I mean, I figure you would see something unless they're living deep
Or,
in
like,
caves or something.
I would say they could be hidden in the mountains, in caves, like deep down. Like, we don't know.
Yeah. But they've seen us.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like, what if people go missing and, like, you're taken by the people?
I mean, you are the one that told me that there's, like, cave systems correlating with missing persons cases.
Yes, and it is one of the.
Yeah,
It's
you told
probably
me this a long time ago.
Probably one of the most unsettling things to see.
Yeah, those maps overlaid on top of each other.
What does it all mean?
Yeah. Well, this one, like I said, was from r/camping and hiking. I hid all night in the Appalachians after hearing a scream and footsteps. What happened to me a few weeks ago on a solo hiking trip has been stuck in my head ever since. I've mentioned to a couple of people, and every single one of them brushed it off, said it was probably nothing. But I know what I heard and what I saw, and it was something. No part of it felt normal. I'm 28 male and live in North Carolina. I've been hiking and backpacking solo for years. I work a pretty normal 9-to-5 desk job doing graphic design, and I use the weekends to get out into the woods and reset. I've done this section of the Appalachian Trail before. It runs through southwest Virginia, remote, quiet, barely any foot traffic. I've never had a reason to feel unsafe out there. The hike itself was normal. I started early, did about 12 miles, and didn't see a single person the whole day. Around 6 p.m., I found a good spot off the trail and set up camp. Nothing fancy, hammock, tarp, bear bag up, gear sorted. The weather was perfect. I turned in a little after dark, but around 1:30 a.m. I woke up needing to pee. I grabbed my headlamp, slipped on my boots, and walked about 15 or 20 feet behind a tree just out of sight from camp. My phone was in my backpack. I didn't bother grabbing it. I didn't think I'd be gone long. But that's when I heard it. Somewhere, deep in the woods, not close, but not far enough, I heard a scream. A woman's scream. No words, just a long, loud, terrified scream that echoed through the trees. And I'm telling you, it was the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life. It sounded like a movie scream. It sounded raw and real, like someone who truly thought they were about to die. It cracked at the end like her voice was breaking, and then silence. Just complete, heavy silence. I froze. About a minute later, I started hearing footsteps. Far off, but steady. Not rushing or running, just slow, heavy steps through the forest. No flashlight, no voice, just walking. It wasn't coming directly towards me, but it was close enough that I didn't feel safe standing up. I dropped low behind the tree. There were some logs and dry leaves at the base, and I laid down flat next to them. I didn't move, I didn't make a sound, and I stayed there, just listening. After a couple of minutes, I saw something in the distance. Through the trees, maybe 75 to 100 yards out, I spotted a faint orange glow, moving slowly through the woods. At first, I thought it was someone with a lantern, but it got brighter, and I realized it was a large torch. Like an actual open flame being carried by someone, and they weren't alone. There were 2 or 3 figures walking behind whoever was carrying the torch. I couldn't make out much from that distance, but what I did see will stay with me forever. The person holding the torch had something dark smeared all over their face, like black face paint or mud. It looked like it covered everything but their eyes. They weren't in any sort of uniform or hunting gear either, just baggy clothing and that torch, walking slowly through the woods in the middle of the night. They weren't looking for anything. They were just moving, calm, deliberate. I didn't move an inch. I was terrified that they'd hear me breathing. My phone was still in my bag at camp. No way to call anyone. No light. Nothing. All I could do was lay there and pray they didn't come closer. They eventually moved out of sight, but I didn't move. I stayed there all night. I never went back to my hammock. I didn't sleep. I didn't even stand up until the sun was fully out. When it was bright enough to see clearly, I made my way back to camp, grabbed my gear, and hiked 15 miles straight back to my car. I didn't stop to eat or drink. I just wanted out. Nothing at camp was disturbed. No tracks, no signs of anyone passing through, but I know what I saw. And I can't stop asking myself, who were they? What did I hear? What the hell were they doing that deep in the woods at 2 a.m. with torches and face paint? Has anyone else ever seen anything like this while hiking or camping? Because I genuinely don't know what I escaped that night.
I'm thinking cult-like activity.
Yeah, maybe.
That's where my mind goes.
Which is horrifying
Oh,
in the
yes.
woods in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Or just in general, but
But I mean, it checks out for my idea of what people in cults do. You know, I don't know. I've never been in
Yeah.
one. I could probably start one, but I don't think I would be in one. But
maybe.
you know, I don't know. That's where my mind goes. Where does yours go? Like they live there, and that's just their nightly routine.
I truly don't know. Like, my first thought was some kind of group of people doing
Nefarious
cult-like
things,
activity or something, but I don't know. And they're like, these are in two different places.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Were there comments on this one?
They did comment a few times. They said, with some of the joke comments and how crazy the story sounds, I honestly understand why people might think I made this up. It even feels surreal to me sometimes when I think back on it. And yeah, I get the way it was written probably doesn't help either. I was an English major for undergrad, so writing things clearly and with structure is just how I naturally explain stuff. As for the 911 part, I didn't have my phone on me. Because a lot of people were saying, like, call 911 or something. It was zipped up in my backpack back at camp. And I wasn't about to go back for it while whoever those people were still moving around through the woods. But I did go to the local sheriff's department the next day once I got into town. I explained what I saw and heard, gave them the general area I had camped in, and left my name and contact email in case they needed to reach me.
That's good. They're smart.
Yeah, they said they told me that they'd check it out and follow up if anything came up, and they never heard back from the
I bet
police.
they didn't even check it out.
Maybe. I mean, what are you going to do? Some people may or may not have been here one night.
I mean, you
know?
heard a terrified scream.
That too. That's
so
really scary.
Go and look at least, see if anybody's missing or something.
Yeah, and they said if anyone was curious to know where I was at, I was camping in a pretty remote spot near the Southwest Virginia border around the Jefferson National Forest area. It's really quiet out there, especially at night. And then some people were talking about like the 12-mile, 15-mile, just a little confused. And they said the 12 miles was my first day total, including a few loops and detours. On the way out, I didn't take the same route. I cut off trail through the woods, following what looked like an old hunting path or game trail I had noticed earlier. I just wanted to get out as fast as possible, and I wasn't thinking about mileage or sticking to marked routes. I didn't stop once. As for the torch, I never said I saw their whole face clearly. What I did see was the flame lighting up enough to catch a glimpse of something dark smeared across it. Not shadows, something deliberate. It stood out immediately. I posted this because I genuinely wanted to know if anyone else has seen or heard anything similar. I've told a few people in person and got the same, probably nothing response, but I know what I experienced out there, and I know it wasn't nothing. Also, this is something that I was thinking when I first read it, and it just came back to me. Was it blood?
Oh, God.
Smeared on their face?
Oh, my gosh. Sure, maybe.
I hope it's mud or face paint.
Yeah, me too.
But just paired with the scream, like, really freaked me out. Maybe they're hunting.
I'm gonna say the
Animals.
scream was they were just playing around. They were joking around. I can't accept whatever else it may be.
That's
That's awful.
That one unsettled me. That one
Yeah.
freaked me out a lot.
Yeah.
And people freak me out more than
Me
the
too.
paranormal usually.
Me too. Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely 100% more afraid of people
Yeah.
in groups of people.
Or
One-on-one.
loners.
One-on-one, I'm not as afraid because I'm like, ooh, maybe I could take you. Groups of people, steering clear, always.
Yeah, that's really scary. I've watched too many movies.
Not
To
even
know,
movies. I've listened to true stories.
That too. Have you seen or have you heard Sounds Like a Cult podcast?
I've heard of it, but
It's
I've
not
never
as
listened to it.
nefarious as like, or not all of the episodes are as nefarious as you would think, like a murderous cult or something,
Yeah.
but it's very good. I think you'd like it.
I've heard of it, and I think I've heard them on other people's podcasts before.
Yeah, it's good. All right, so our last one comes from r/Paranormal Appalachia, and just warning for animal death and strange things. So if you don't want to hear about that, just go ahead and skip ahead. I was a young child in the northern central Alabama foothills in 2009. There was a fairly large ranch next to us that ran parallel to a creek called Yellowleaf. The doctor that owned it loved to let us explore every inch. There were dove fields and a larger, clear-cut forest and hollers that held springs and hardwoods. It was fairly normal for my brothers and I to wake up on an off-school day, grab a belt knife and a rifle and pack a lunch and go explore. We would spend all day rolling through the 500 to 700-ish acre property. I remember this day, I had asked my brother Jay if he wanted to go check out a little spring I had found, an underground fed hole about 3 feet wide with water that was cold and clear and sweet. He decided not to go. We had recently gotten a new game for our Xbox, and he wanted to do that today. Well, I had still wanted to keep exploring that area, so when I went out to the shed and grabbed my backpack, my little Rossi combo rifle, and the buck knife my mother had bought me, among other various child's toys and a couple of nails and a hammer in my backpack. I set out at around 8 that morning. I took the power line cut down until I came to a small pond, then cut towards Highway 51 until I hit a little stream we called Bully Creek. This was the first weird thing of the day. I came across a coyote, a dead one. No signs of predation or external wounds, but not starving or skinny. I was an 11-year-old kid, so I remember just thinking, "Ooh, cool, maybe I can get his pelt, and my dad would be so proud of me, and I'd be so cool." I pulled out my knife and, very sloppily I might add, went about trying to skin the coyote. I made a real hack job out of it because I had only helped my dad with deer, but I had done rabbits on my own. The thing is, when I got the skin out from around the nape of the neck, it was black and bruised underneath. The bones in the neck, down to the ribs, had been absolutely shattered. It was like turning a bird gizzard full of seeds in your hand, just demolished. After I was done, I rolled up the skin and, much to the chagrin of my mother, put it in my backpack and started back for the spring. I was maybe another mile of walking when I heard something up ahead. It was approaching some brambles and the edge of a pine clear cut with some short pine thicket growth. I could actually hear whatever it was on the other side, breathing. It sounded like At this time, I was a little scared and I unslung my Rossi and started to back away. I figured I would skirt around and put that noise behind me, and I was playing tricks on myself. I backed off about 20 yards, then began moving diagonally away from it, just trying to scout walk and put some distance between me and whatever it was. I made the spring about 12:30 in the afternoon with the sun high. I bathed in it, caught a few crawlers that I boiled in a cut-in-half Pepsi can, then ate my bologna sandwich and a bag of Funyuns. At this point, I had been there maybe an hour and a half and knew I should start heading back to be home by dinner. I started to pack up my things when I looked a little down the creek to my right and noticed a small cave. I had no flashlight, but it could be cool to look. There are a lot of small caves in the foothills, and on occasion you'll find someone has stashed things in it. Beads, clay pots, jars of food or booze, old silver mirrors, etc. My uncle once found a pistol in one. Well, I get in my mind, I'm gonna go check it out. So I pull my gas station lighter out of my bag and cross the creek with it, and the torn dedication page of the Daybreakers clutched above the water. About halfway across the creek, I get this feeling, just gut-wrenching, like passing white sheets on a highway after a wreck. I push on and hit the other bank, scramble up, and now I'm a small foot gap away from this 2-foot by 1-foot hole in the earth. I lit the piece of paper to stick in and held it out and into the hole, and it blew out. In fact, putting my hand over the hole was like putting my hand in front of a box fan. Strange, it was really strange, but not as strange as what happened next. The hole spoke. Mamatikan chiahacho haktike. Or that's the best way I can relay it, deep and booming like the earth shaking. Then I ran. I practically walked across the creek like Jesus. I mean, I ran like a cat someone had set on fire. I ran to my pack and grabbed it, threw my rifle over my shoulder, and sprinted through the brush. After about 100 yards of dashing, I heard something behind me crashing through the brush, big, heavy steps. My heart was pounding, and I could hear it getting closer. I ran for another 100 yards before I turned, leveled my rifle at my hip, and fired. And nothing. The afternoon forest was as quiet as it had ever been. I took a deep breath and convinced myself I had just gotten worked up. I was going to have to explain a missing .243 shell to my dad, and he liked me to have a very good explanation if I shot that rifle. I walked back to the house, cut up and white as a sheet. My mom met me on the porch, and I told her what happened frantically. She seemed not bothered, and I'm sure felt like I had a silly imagination. Later on, I told my dad I had used a shell and needed another. He asked what happened to the one I had. He would give us 3 at a time. I told him the story. He listened patiently and didn't get angry or raise his voice. He just told me he thought I was very brave and went and got me another shell. Later on, after I joined the Marines and moved to Montana with my wife, I asked him again what he thought that had happened that day. He said either the boiled crawfish had made me hallucinate, or I really encountered something supernatural. My dad is a sheriff's deputy and was never a kooky guy, but that night he gave me a different side, talking about how the mountains and country we lived on were old, older than man's time keeping records. He left me with the words, quote, "There are things in this world man was never meant to understand, doubly so in those old woods and hollers."
Okay.
What a weird time.
Okay. Imagine.
No. Just no. I don't want to.
Any part of that story, no.
All of that sounds like my worst nightmare.
I was very taken aback by the skinning of the coyote.
Yeah.
To each their own, but what?
I almost took it out, but it was interesting that he found like the body in the state that it was after he did. Like the bones were
maybe
crushed.
Maybe just got hit by a car.
But it wasn't on the road. This was in the woods. This was on this guy's 500 to 700 acre property. Like it wasn't across the highway or anything.
Oh my God. I don't know.
What was in there?
I don't know. But
and why was it speaking?
What did that mean?
From the cave? I don't know.
I'm a little afraid that I said it
out loud.
I know. What could you have just unleashed?
Hopefully nothing. At least we're not in Alabama or anywhere near the Appalachians.
Oh. I am shocked. I am shocked that... I'm not even shocked at the scary part. It's just that people live this way and like to do this stuff. Just like, oh, maybe I'll take the pelt to my dad. I'm so happy for you if that's what you do, but I'm horrified.
Yeah.
I'm not judging at all. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Like, I mean, they did this like back in the old times before they were
I'm
big
not,
on textiles and stuff,
I'm not judging. I am just shocked.
It is shocking.
Because this was 2009.
And this was a child.
Yes.
What were they, 11?
They said I was a young child in 2009.
Yeah. Where did I get 11? I don't know.
I
just made that up. Oh, I was an 11-year-old kid. Yeah. Also,
when I was 11, I was not doing that.
No.
At all.
No, you weren't.
I would have placed flowers around it and been like, no,
yeah.
who did this to you?
Literally, I don't think I was 11 yet. Maybe I was around 11 or a little younger, and we found a dead squirrel and we gave it a burial and we had a funeral for the squirrel.
Did.
Yeah.
That was really sad. It was in the
in
water trough.
Yeah, in our hole digging days.
Yeah. Rip.
So, yeah. It was interesting.
Wow.
I'm just shocked at the whatever happened there at the end. And then the way the dad was just kind of like,
hey,
okay.
All right, you're brave. Heck yeah. All right.
That was very brave of you.
That's probably the best response other than being like, oh God, what did you see? It's just like, oh, good job, buddy.
I also can't imagine letting my kids go explore the woods.
Just take the gun.
By themselves. Yeah.
Crazy.
Really scary.
That's crazy. But someone's going to comment and be like, I do this all the time.
And that's totally fine for you. And it just scares me.
It scares me bad.
Especially after all these stories.
Oh, wow.
Do you want the little bonus one? It's short.
Sure.
It was,
you said it's not scary, it's just interesting?
Yeah, it was just interesting. It was r/Ask an American. And they were asking, what are some weird things in Appalachia? Mm-hmm. They said, this one was titled Appalachia Witch.
Ooh.
As a kid, I got covered in warts from head to toe. My mama took me to see the doctor, and he said there wasn't much to do, but put some compound W on it. My mom hated it, because when she'd do it, I'd cry and holler like it was killing me. One day, she carried me over to my granny's house. Granny knew a healer in the woods. I don't remember much, but I know we had to be at her place by sundown. She lived out in the woods a bit in 2 old school buses welded together side by side. Mom gave her some money and whiskey. She drank a bit and shot the breeze with my granny, then lit a cigar. She read some Bible passages, then made me strip to my underwear. She puffed up that cigar, then blew smoke on me while I spun in a circle. I got dressed. We left. A couple days later, those warts started falling off. I don't have scars, just the weird memories of how it all felt. Oh, what a strange lady. I want to know more. I want to know her.
Oh,
I want to know about her house, how she welded those 2 school buses together.
that's cool.
I want to know where she learned all of her healing
That's very cool.
magic. I want to know what the cigar had to do with it. I want to know what Bible passages were read. I want to know everything. That was intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a weird time?
What did we do today?
Talked about some
I
weird
feel
stuff.
like
Are you just totally, completely unsettled?
Yes. Like on a primal level, I'm unwell.
Yeah, I feel that.
I don't like feeling just confused. And that's just how I feel right now.
Confused and scared.
But scared because I'm so confused and just at a loss.
Yeah.
It's like
Those crawler stories, though,
okay.
or the mimics or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Those are the stories from Appalachia that truly, truly horrify me.
This is weird.
The weird day.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a good time and I enjoyed looking at your face.
I gotta think about it for a while before I even can tell you how I feel, but
Yeah.
I'm glad you had fun.
I had a great time and I hope that you did too. So like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so, and subscribe for more. We've got more listener stories coming on Friday. I have a theme for that one. It's
Woo.
haunted houses in Appalachia. So we're listening to some people's spooky houses.
Love.
Very excited about that one. It's going to be fun. You can check out our Patreon. We have a new episode that just went up today. It's very fun. Very good. Something I've been putting off of for a while, but I desperately want to go here.
Cool. Well,
We
we're
haven't
about to
recorded it
record
yet.
that, so I'm about to find out with y'all.
So patreon.com/ghosties if you'd like to see it. Other than that, we will see you on Friday.
Goodbye.